Today we're talking with Roseanna White about Dreams of Savannah. Roseanna, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Your latest book takes place in Savannah. What led you to choose that setting?
I actually had an editor years ago ask if I had any ideas for a story set in Civil War Savannah. And at that point in time, I didn't, but I promptly came up with one. And while that first foray it didn't work, and I ended up just writing a manuscript that I had sitting in my digital drawer for 9 years. But I always loved the story, so it was fun to get it out and brush it up, and Bethany House helped me turn it into something I'm really proud of. So,
was there something that you were specifically drawn to as far as Civil War history?
I really just love the idea of history in general, and how people are always people, no matter the time period they're in. So my fun with the Civil War setting was really figuring out how it went from the soldiers being really excited to go off to war to very quickly realizing this is not glamorous.
Right.
So we had that on the one side, and then on the other side you have all the women folk who are at home and worrying and fretting, and they don't know what's happening. So I have a heroine who is a storyteller, and she uses that to bring hope to the people around her. So I really love that idea of using stories, whether fictional or real, to connect ourselves with others and to help understand each other with our stories and to bring that hope to each other.
Without spoiling too much of the story, tell us a little bit about Dreams of Savannah.
Dreams of Savannah is about Cordelia and her sweetheart Finn, who goes off to war on one of the first Confederate ships, actually, and he is very soon missing. So those at home are left trying to figure out what's going on, and Cordelia is trying to bring hope to his family with her stories of kind of exploits that Finn must be having, all these adventures he's surely, being victorious in. Meanwhile, her father's trying to, force her into what he deems a more suitable arrangement for marriage. So, and of course, in all this, we have the issues of slavery and race and all of these very sensitive subjects. But Cordelia comes to realize that everyone around her is a person with a story of their own, and that's what helps her to love them and understand them. So that's kind of the overarching theme that, we all have a story to tell, and when we tell them, we can really understand each other.
Right now, as you said, you kind of wrote the book and then it sat on the shelf for a number of years. Is that a very common thing that, you get started with a book and then you bring it back and the publisher looks at it and says, okay, here's a few.
I've had it happen several times, actually, because I write very quickly. So I just keep writing, and whether a publisher wants it then or not, I just keep writing and, save it up and move on to the next one. So then eventually I found homes for several of these manuscripts I had sitting around. They require some work, but it's still the basic plot and the basic ideas there already. So
Right.
I always think that's a lot of fun.
Now, do you have on your bucket list another location you'd love to write about? Or is there one on the shelf right now that you're particularly keen to find a home for someday?
There's a lot, actually. I love all these different settings and I love exploring them. So I've had an idea for one set in the Outer Banks of North Carolina that I'm really hoping will become something someday. Right now, I'm toying with the idea of something set in Ireland. Most of my books are Edwardian England, so I'm thinking Edwardian Ireland could be fun. And otherwise, I just look at writing as a chance to kind of explore parts of the world I haven't gotten to visit. So anywhere I want to go, we're like, let's just set a story there.
Right. So you sort of get to go there.
Right, yeah, travel in the imagination.
All right, well, one final and really important question. Have you ever tried on one of those dresses that the models are wearing on the cover of the book?
I actually laughed hilariously when I got the cover because I wore a dress almost identical to that one to my prom in high school, except it was a different color. So I was like, it's like they took the picture of me and just made it blue. So yes, I have. They were not in fashion at the time, but I wore it anyway because I just loved that style of dress. So yep, sure have.
Good for you. Well, thank you so much for telling us about Dreams of Savannah. We really appreciate you taking the time today.
No problem. Thanks so much.